Recently in Smash Bros. Ultimate, I have been kind of dabbling with the Ice Climbers, my old Brawl co-main, and people are wondering if I'm going to pick up the character or what I overall think about the character, especially after Big D's run at Pinnacle, where people are kind of freaking out about Ice Climbers just a tad, and then obviously we have all the Twitter combos. So I want to talk about why Ice Climbers, in my opinion, are getting to kind of like not their peak, but they are finally actually showing their dominance in the meta, or like what their dominance could be, but still why they are never ever going to be a top tier character in my opinion. The first thing I want to talk about Ice Climbers isn't even the crazy things you'll see on Twitter, it's just their overall damage output. If you play a fundamentally sound and solid Ice Climbers, you can do upwards of 60 to 70% in a single combo with just doing up air. If you get a grab or an up tilt or a side B, you can literally just do like side B, up tilt, up air, up air, up air, or grab, down throw, up air, up air, up air, up air, and if it's double up air because Popo and Nana are both there, you do a ridiculous amount of percent. You don't even need the crazy stuff to do any of that damage. Once you get hit by Ice Climbers, their advantage state is amazing. Literally the only flaw of their advantage is, in my opinion, the fact that they're not really the fastest on the ground, so if you have a really fast airspeed like Yoshi or something like that, or Ness, and you can kind of mix up where you want to go, it is really hard for Ice Climbers to kind of chase you like that. But at the same time, if you're not one of those like 4 characters that have amazing burst options in the air, you are going to have a really hard time getting down against Ice Climbers because their up air is one of the best up air in the entire game. They can have really repetitive setups with tech chases or again grabs and just general advanced state, and you can end up losing your stock really quickly just from basically one neutral interaction. And it's not like their neutral is bad, they have several options between obviously going into all the desyncs, which I'll do a little bit later, but again, they have pretty big moves. They have up air, they obviously have the imposing threat of grab, they have ice block as a decent projectile, and they have blizzard and squall. Blizzard and squall, those moves are absolutely ridiculous. Side B squall is so safe, and you can confirm off it into ridiculous amount of damage, and also if you don't get the hit, you can kind of retreat back or go to a platform and just be safe, and it is so hard to punish that move. I'm pretty sure only a small amount of characters can truly punish that move. It's hard to parry too. It is a kind of over-centralizing move when it comes to Ice Climbers, especially because you can get a desync off of it, but just overall that move is going to be a big part of the Ice Climbers neutral, and if you want to jump to avoid it, that's when you kind of get up aired. So they have a pretty like 1 or 2 or 3 move neutral, but those 3 moves are just absolutely amazing, and if you get caught off guard and you get grabbed, you might just die. And kind of in conjunction with their neutral, but they have a couple of decent quirks because of the fact that obviously there's 2 of them. You know, Nana is going to be 6 frames behind Popo at all times except in specific desync situations when you're buffering, but generally Nana is going to be 6 frames behind Popo, which allows things to be fairly randomly safe on shield. Like if I do a landing back air as Popo would be like minus, let's say 11. I don't know the actual frame data, I'm just kind of throwing out that number. But because Nana is going to be doing it 6 frames after you, you basically have 6 frames knocked off of the safety of your move in a good way. Like it becomes more and more plus, and that even applies to parries. There have been so many times when I've done like landing nair and both Popo's and Nana's has been parried, and then I've stuffed whatever my opponent wanted to do with a grab or with a jab because the parry window gets elongated. Popo isn't gonna be in the lag that Nana will be when she gets parried, so you are able to just be like, okay, I can act again, which is really annoying. It means the safety of the moves is like really variable depending on if you parry, if you don't, how stale it is. Like it becomes even more complex, so it's really difficult to just be 100% sure, okay, I know I can punish this move, because suddenly you parry, you get jabbed, you start doubting it, and then again, if you start doubting things in the middle of a game, your mindset's going to be shook, which allows your opponent, this being the Ice Climbers, to just kind of run all over you. If the Ice Climbers make a correct guess, that is going to be a huge amount of damage, again, whether that's grab, whether that's squall, whether that's blizzard, whether that's, you know, an up air. They can do so much in their advantage, and that constantly, like that much damage, almost more damage than most characters in this entire game, at least from like true combos, not necessarily advantage states. Like that type of threat is going to be so scary. So for the most part, people are just going to be running away from the Climbers and just not knowing what they want to do and constantly looking for hits. But Ice Climbers overall can just play so solid if they want to play more defensive, and you see that in Big D's play. Big D sometimes just turtles and doesn't let himself get hit, and then if they do hit his shield, he side B's out his shield for a massive amount of damage, because I think side B by itself does like 22 or 25 if it's synced, which then leads into a combo or a desync. It's going to be so good for Ice Climbers to both play defensively and then kind of pressure with their offensive options, because it can deal so much damage, and the entire time you're scared because of Ice Climbers' defense, you might lose because squall into desync into death, or you're just going to take 70 from a grab, and it's just not a fun time. You know, the best thing about Ice Climbers, hands down, not even is their stuff that they have in the game, it's just the mental pressure you have, because let's say you miss a kill on Nana, you're like, oh my god, that was like totally the stock or the game, potentially depending on which stock it is, and now you're going to be beating yourself up, and then if you lose, you're just gonna be like super upset about yourself. You're constantly scared of the confirms, you're constantly scared of the grab, you're constantly scared of just any little thing messing up and just snowballing, because ironically, ice climbers are very, very good at snowballing. And one of the best things about ice climbers obviously is going to be their desyncs, their ability to throw out different moves with both Popo and Nana kind of in turn, which allows you to get a ridiculous amount of both pressure, option coverage, damage. It is just so scary to get desynced on because you have to be ready for so many options at the same time. And granted, as the ice climbers, it's fairly difficult because you have to constantly be guessing or making decisions that might make your neutral worse if you're wrong. Like if you go for an up air or an up smash read when the other one is blizzarding, suddenly you don't have a second blizzard to cover the ground, and so the opponent can run in and grab you or grab Nana, throw her off stage, and then kill her. It's a lot of risky things for the ice climbers, but overall, it definitely, as the opponent, feels way more stressful than it does as the ice climbers, being someone that has played against Big D and also someone that now plays ice climbers. Their ability to shoot out ice block, their ability to just spam blizzard walls, their ability to go for up smash or forward smash reads. Popo obviously can always grab, and if you get a grab when Nana's already desynced, it can lead to death with like down throw F smash or F throw F smash or whatever confirms. Obviously, ice climbers have like the Twitter combos, which are just ridiculous, still not 100% applicable except for a couple specific setups for a decent amount of like resets and damage, but generally you're not going to get 0 to death off of grabs except for the more basic confirms that people have been doing for forever, like the down throw, roll, nair, side B, grab, forward throw, forward air. Like that's still going to be real, but unless you're going to get grabbed in those type of positions, you're not going to die from the grab. You're just going to take a lot of percent or be very scared. And not only all of that, but ice climbers have pretty decent kill confirms. As I mentioned, they can do between like 60 and 80 just from a random throw, then pretty much one random hit, and then suddenly any errant blizzard, any random up tilt, any back air, obviously forward smash, all those things are going to kill because they have such consistent kill confirms. It is actually so difficult to avoid getting killed by this character unless you're just going to avoid literally everything and just camp them out, which granted is kind of good against ice climbers in my opinion, especially if you have a decent projectile, but we'll get to their disadvantages a little bit later. Between blizzard, up tilt, up air, between just up tilt, up air, you up tilt, back air sometimes, randomly like edge trapping them, the Big D edge trump coverage thing, which is ridiculous with like Nana edge trumps and you do an F smash as Popo, and like their only option around that is actually just to like roll, but if you read the roll then you just up smash them anyway. It is so hard to get around this character's advantage in so many little situations. You have to be so ready for so many little things, whether it's the desyncs, whether it's the blizzard itself, whether it's side B, whether it's just the amount of damage they do. It is so hard to constantly keep your head wrapped around this character, especially if you have no experience, because there's like 7 of them in the entirety of North America, including mediocre ones. So you're really not going to get a lot of good ice climbers experience, so you basically have to figure it out in tournament at once, just go do it. And that's really hard. However, this character is not infallible. I feel like they do have a decent amount of weaknesses. The main one obviously being if Nana dies, suddenly Popo is a low tier character at best. People really need to learn the Nana, like how her AI works and how she'll like stay on platforms, or if she'll run through you, because by the way, Nana can run through you. She's the only thing in the game that can just run through you, which makes sense because otherwise she would like basically never be able to get back to Popo. So like from a design standpoint, I'm kind of happy they did that, but I definitely got thrown for a loop when I was playing Big D and Nana just ran straight through me and I was just like, oh god, like I didn't know that, and I lost a kill because of that, against Nana specifically. But once you kind of figure out how Nana works, once you figure out the best ways to kill Nana, suddenly fighting ice climbers gets much, much easier because you get one opening, separate Nana, kill Nana, or at least deal 60% against Nana so that the next time you hit Nana, they'll be desynced way farther because Nana has her own percent compared to Popo. So if you hit Nana for like 70% and Popo's at 40%, Nana's going to be flying way farther, which allows you to just go chase her instead of Popo, get the kill, and then suddenly now the ice climbers are way less threatening because Popo as a character is just not as good as both of them. Obviously, you get less grab confirms, less damage, less combos, less threat, a way worse recovery. So it becomes a lot easier once you kill Nana to just pick Popo off and go to the next stock. There's actually a strategy that a lot of people used in Brawl where if you're ahead by a decent amount, or even like if you're up a stock and you kill Nana, just run away from Popo and time him out because he's not going to have the resources by himself, typically to just kill you or take a whole stock from you. So if you just run away from him and kind of get chip damage here and there and just actively try to not kill him and time him out, that's actually going to be a very solid strategy. I know it has happened to me before, and then I have to literally like run off the stage and SD to get Nana back and to get chain grabs back. Of course, this wasn't Brawl, so it's going to be a little bit different because Popo does have a bit more kill potential, and again, the grab isn't as centralizing as it used to be. Like, I definitely have still got Sopo stocks and Sopo 2 stocks and things like that, but it is overall obviously way more difficult for Popo to catch people, because even if you get hit, you're less scared than if you get hit by both climbers. Not only that, but I feel like getting juggled as ice climbers is a really bad situation. They have a really slow fast fall, so fast fall and neutral air dodge is not going to be that great of an option. They don't really have a lot of good aerials to hit below them. I mean, they have down air, but it's like pretty punishable. It's not that strong, so you're not really going to have to be worried. Like, if you get hit by it, it sucks because you lose advantage, but even at lower percent, sometimes I've got hit by the double down air, and then as Pikagon like landing fair F-tilt and just kept up the advantage, which is really unfortunate for ice climbers, obviously, but it's one of those things that if you avoid the down air, that's basically all they have. If you have a disjointed up air or like a good up smash, you can just keep them in the air, and again, if you hit Popo and not Nana, suddenly you can hit Nana away, go target her, you know, potentially run back, hit Popo one more time, finish killing off Nana, and now you have again a low tier Sopo. Not only that, but their recovery, while it goes really far and it is kind of particular in what you have to do to beat them, especially after the patch where they fixed the up B, their recovery is exploitable. If you hit them out of Squall, being their side B, actually the one that didn't, if you only hit one of them because it's a really precise hitbox, the other one will just actually go into free fall. Like, they're not able to do anything, just fall to their death. And if you hit Popo so that Nana's falling and then continue to hit Popo, Nana will just die. And if you hit Nana, then Popo will just go into free fall and just die. And that's really, really unfortunate. Not super common, and obviously they're both spinning, so it's kind of hard to target just the correct one, but either way, just doing that potentially will lead you into kills on one of the climbers, which is obviously going to be a good thing. The only hitbox on Ice Climber's up B is with Nana, so if you are able to avoid the Nana hitbox of the up B, you can throw out a lingering aerial or just a well-timed aerial when Popo is going to be snapping to the ledge, very similar to a tether recovery, and just kill Popo. Nana will be on the ledge, unable to help, and especially if you got like a drag down aerial or a spike or just a weak aerial where Nana is not going to be able to go down far enough, then Popo's just going to die, and that's actually how I beat Big D in one of the games. He was winning by like 20 or 30%. I back aired both of them off, and then I waited for up B, air dodge, or like I think I like preemptively air dodged Nana's up B and then back aired Sopo, and I killed him like 20% last stock, and that is a really, really bad position to be in. Obviously, I'm not sure if all characters can do that, because I'm, you know, from the perspective of one of the best edge guarding characters in the game, I'm aware that not everyone is going to be able to do that. But if you can do it, you need to do it. You have to figure out a way if you can do it, because it is literally matchup defining. And honestly, sometimes it just seems hard to find the hit against defensive characters as Ice Climbers. Against good projectile characters, they have a decent amount of bad matchups. If you have really good ground control or just the ability to just throw stuff at Ice Climbers, it gets really, really hard to find a way in, because their air mobility isn't the greatest and their ground mobility isn't the greatest. Characters like the Belmonts that can just throw stuff continually and just make it a pain to get in, and then of course they have their short hop aerials that are all good, and down tilt to get out of the corner. Characters like Pac-Man that throw hydrant down or trampoline, and Ice Climbers have to jump over it and then basically get hit. That's probably Ice Climbers' worst matchup, or one of them, because then also you're having projectiles thrown at you, you can't do anything on the ground, and then you get edge guarded, because Pac-Man's edge guarding is amazing with forward air and down air. This character has a lot of bad matchups, especially characters like Snake, who can throw a bunch of things. Sticky Nana, which is really funny because then it kind of makes it switch back and forth between Nana and Popo, so you have to super respect the Sticky. There are so many characters that have a good matchup with Ice Climbers, but I feel like the characters that beat Ice Climbers are like 65-35s, and there's probably like 6 or 7 of them, which is one of the reasons why I think they can't be top tier, because they do have hard counters, at least at the current moment. Maybe things will be discovered later, or maybe patches will happen. The characters that they struggle with get nerfed, even though I don't think they're going to nerf Pac-Man or the Belmonts, but maybe Snake, you know, that matchup can disappear. Only very few matchups are very slightly out of Ice Climbers' favor, but an even matchup for Ice Climbers is so scary as the opponent of the Ice Climbers, because of the fact that they get that grab, they kill you, all the mental stuff I talked about earlier, and of course they have a lot of matchups where they just shut down people's just options in neutral. It's like, oh, you're a close quarter combat character, time to spam Blizzard, and then you can't do anything about it except roll behind, which is really obvious, or jump above you, which then you get anti-aired with up air. They have a way to systematically break down a lot of matchups that are even or in their favor, to make it such a pain to fight them as the opponents, that Ice Climbers can honestly be a really good counterpick character, and that's kind of what I'm using them for. I don't know what matchups I want to use them for yet, and because I haven't really been playing them long enough, and I'm still very mediocre with them at best, even though I do the Twitter combos, but that's mostly just from like muscle memory from Brawl and also determination of just wanting to do it. But I'm not super great with them yet. Obviously, if you do want to check out Ice Climbers, check out Big D. He is probably the best tournament Ice Climbers player. I will link his Twitter down below. And keep in mind that even though Ice Climbers does a bunch of ridiculous things, they still have the giant flaws, because if you lose one of the two characters, similar to Rosalina and Luma, killing Nana Nana will be a huge detriment to that style. And again, as I mentioned, you can kind of time them out, especially because Nana doesn't just respawn like Luma does, so that is going to be a pretty big deal. And yeah, that is going to be about it for this one. I hope you all enjoyed. As always, social media, Panda, and partner stuff is down below. Don't forget to follow me on the other social medias and subscribe to this channel so you can keep up to date with my opinions, because I talk a lot more than I make YouTube videos on, so if you want to just keep up to date, follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and things like that. And yeah, I will see you all next time. Boo boo, bye!